Women today are selfish. Men today are selfish. Children today are selfish. Everybody is more selfish than they've ever been in the history of Earth. Pretty sure of it. There's a lot more of us. I guess there's a lot more choice when it comes to choosing a partner. It's like a trip to the shopping mall, getting on dating sites and you're scrolling through. Oh yeah, this one fits my needs. This one fits my style. I think I'll choose this one and see how it works. And if that person doesn't meet every qualification in your mind, well then, that ain't the person for you. We have become way too selfish. I am very guilty of this. I'm selfish in the fact that I don't want to share my life with anybody. I live alone with my dogs. I'm not selfish with my dogs because, well, maybe because they don't talk back. Well, Rooster kind of does. She'll talk back a little bit. But they don't give me any crap. They don't want the latest designer purses. They don't want a brand new fancy car. People have become very selfish, and they have forgotten how to give, how to share. And this may not be the case for everybody, but I will guarantee you somebody that's not selfish is having a hard time finding somebody they get along with. And maybe you've been with somebody for a long, long time and you've figured a way how to work together and not be so selfish. And the chances are good you're probably not selfish people if you've learned how to habitate together without being at each other's throats. But for the most part of the population today, we're just too selfish to get along. And with modern technology, with all the advances, all the conveniences and luxuries that we have in our lives today, we're not willing to give that up. We're not willing to help somebody else. It's every person for themselves. And you see a rise in this, and it's only getting worse. The people have become so selfish that you've got, there's a housing crisis. And a big reason is you got so many people that live alone. Okay, you've got single mothers with the kids, and then you got the fathers that they're not with the family anymore, or vice versa. So that creates a need for more housing. So in a lot of these cities, you're having a big housing crisis now because people are selfish. They don't want to give an inch. If you get married to somebody and they gain weight, maybe they have a health issue, a lot of people just leave. They don't want to deal with that because they're selfish. I personally cannot deal with an overweight woman. Okay, I just can't. Even though I used to be overweight and still, ain't perfect. It's just something, but I don't know that it would cause me to, if I cared about that person, I don't know that itself would cause me to leave that person. Especially what I know now, I would probably try to help that person. But if that person didn't want any help and refused to change to better that person's self, then I probably wouldn't have any choice but tell them to hit the road, Jacqueline. Yeah, I ain't playing in that ballpark. But you know what I'm saying. Some people want the perfect person in their life, and they can't waver from that. They can't grow old. They can't gain weight. Their looks must always be pristine, and they must always look good. And that is all a bunch of fake crap. It's a bunch of fake crap. Trying to make somebody into something they are not. And that is one of the reasons I choose just, there comes a point in every person's life, whether you're a man or a woman, you just give up. Because you've done this time and time again with the same result. the same things happen, and I will tell you, this happens a lot with men. You find an attractive woman, and by gosh, a year later, that woman's done blew up and gained weight and let herself go, and wears sweatpants and sweatshirts all the time, and doesn't try to look good anymore, which, if you're not a selfish person, you probably won't mind that. Maybe you're doing that with them. Well, people just get too comfortable, and I think that's why some of these dating sites are a bunch of garbage. I would never use one, because number one, you're these people that are on these things, they're only going to post the best pictures they've ever had. And if you see one of those pictures where it's cropped, like all you see is the face, chances are good they're overweight. Okay? And they may lie about that. Why, I don't know, because if you eventually meet, you're going to find this out anyway, and it's over. So you've wasted a whole bunch of time. But some people are so desperate, they will basically make up a fake identity to create a person that they are not, and try to persuade you this is the way they are. They have this awesome job. Their credit's good. All these things. And then later, not too far after you meet, you find all these things were false. And so already the relationship is going nowhere, and it's probably going to be over. But in the last, 50 years, as I said, life has gotten so comfortable for so many people. Everything is at the tip of our fingers, and people have become extremely selfish. And it is once that is ingrained in you, it's hard to change. And so you're probably better off just being by yourself. I've realized that about myself. When I was a drinker, I wasn't going to quit drinking for nobody. I don't care. I did not care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and nobody's going to tell me what to do. And that kind of mentality never works in a relationship. So I would find myself with women that drank too, that had that same mentality, and that also led to problems. And then there comes a point where you just say, screw all that. I'm much happier being alone, which I truthfully am much happier being alone than having to deal with all the soap opera crap of trying to please someone else or trying to be somebody that I'm not. And the days where you might meet somebody, 1800s in that, you might meet somebody and you had a few things in common, but you learned how to deal with the rest of the issues, and you just let somebody do what they were going to do, and eventually that person would stop doing the things they were doing, or they wouldn't. And people dealt with things better. Now life is so easy, and we have so many luxuries that people want. A wife might want a new car before all the bills are paid, or a husband might want to go out and get a motorcycle against the wife's wishes, and he does, and then that creates a problem, that creates an argument. These are all the kind of things. And then financial, okay, if you're struggling to pay your bills, then you're going to argue. All these things lead to 50% of the population getting divorced within 5 years after getting married. That happens all too often. That is why I refuse, and I never did like going to anyone's wedding, because I know there's a good chance that's just a waste of time. It's just a big ceremony that's going to be a waste of time. They're going to be split up in a few years. So maybe they had an open bar, and that'd be the only reason. Now, the only time I ever went to anybody's wedding is if I was in a relationship and it was somebody they knew. Because I don't go to weddings. Men despise going to weddings and funerals and all these shindigs that women enjoy doing. But men do it because if they don't do that, they feel, their spouse is going to feel like they're being selfish. And those are usually the couples that last, are the ones that will give a little. I had a hard time doing that. I'm not here giving any advice on being selfish because I'm probably one of the worst offenders. I'm just kind of giving you my observations of what I see out there. And it's still going on. It's no different today than it was when I was in a relationship. My last relationship ended in 2012. That's the last relationship I had with anybody. And I'm good with that because that's enough for me. I spent many, many, many years in relationships that went nowhere because one or the other was selfish. And in most cases, I'll say it was me that was selfish. And a lot of it had to do with drinking. Not every case, but a lot of it had to do with drinking. And so I was not good material to be in a relationship with for somebody. I probably still ain't because I'm too set in my ways now. I'm too selfish. However, I like to make videos that may possibly help people, like the carnivore videos I'm doing, the videos I just put out like this morning about drinking. And people have wrote in the comments, hey, I watched your video. I've actually just read this. I watched your video yesterday and have made the decision to quit drinking. And, there's more than one of those. So I know that I'm not being selfish when I do my videos like that it is helping somebody. So even though I am a selfish man, that I ain't going, and believe me, every Christmas, you're not getting nothing in the mail from me. I don't buy gifts. I don't send cards. I just don't do that. I never have, and I'm not going to start now. It doesn't mean I don't help others in other ways. So if you are this kind of selfish person like me, maybe there is another way you can help other people, because there's always something in us, in a human being, no matter how stubborn we are, that gets a little satisfaction out of knowing that you helped somebody. At least I do. I mean, just at Aldi's, I'll leave my quarter in the cart because the next person might hurt them to have to give up a quarter, even though they get it back. It's just something given back. I don't know. That really makes no sense that I do that because they get the quarter back, right? So I might as well just hang out in Aldi parking lot and hand people quarters and then get their own cart because they're getting it back. But a lot of people do that because it kind of makes them feel good. I kind of seem like a tightwad when I'm pushing that cart back in, and if I was to stick that thing in there and get my quarter back, I will do that if that's the last quarter I have, because the next time I go to Aldi, I might have to go in and get change to get another cart, and I don't want to do that. That was a cool part to add to the video, added a little humor. But as an adult, I don't think, especially as you get older, there's no changing people. If you're selfish, you're selfish. And if you're not, you're not. And there are people that have the better than thou attitude that, I'm going to go feed the homeless and I'm going to do all this and that and this and that. But they have problems in other parts of their life, so they're only fooling themselves. Just try to, nobody says you have to spend your entire life helping people or doing charitable things. If you do it once in a while, that's good. Well, I don't know that this video made any sense to anybody and did it had any point to it. But women are selfish. Men are selfish. And kids are learning from men and women, adults, how to be selfish. And kids are more selfish today than ever before. They're not getting the covered wagon that Daddy carved out in the barn for Christmas and being happy. If you was to give a kid that today, a wooden fire truck or a car, they would probably tell you that it sucked and threw it over in a pile and never looked at it again. They want the video games. They want the fancy, expensive things. A lot of kids are like that today. And that all comes from you. You're the one that created that by showing these kids you got to have the latest and the greatest. So we need to be aware of what you're teaching the kids, because they're going to be the ones changing your diapers in 45 years. But I bet they don't. They're going to have to pay them. Yeah, definitely going to have to pay them. Thanks for watching. Happy trails.